from the School of Data Science. I would like to welcome you all to the 6th annual Charlotte Women in Data Science virtual conference, hosted and sponsored by UNC Charlotte School of Data Science and Lowe's Inc. The With Charlotte Conference initiative aims to inspire and educate data scientists across the region, regardless of gender, and to support women in the field. With the current state of the world mainly interacting online, we are grateful for your decision to attend our two-day virtual event and show your support for our various speakers. I'd like to extend a special thanks to all of our attendees for showing up and showing your support. I am happy to introduce our speaker for the hour, Angela Liu, Associate Professor of Marketing at Belk College of Business, UNC Charlotte. Let's give our virtual round of applause and welcome Angela.
Thank you. Thank you everyone to show up in my session. And, usually my audience will be, other professors from the, academic world. But, I really appreciate that I was given this opportunity to talk about my research, in front of a broader audience. So this is actually a good opportunity to bridge the, academic research with the industry, because, this is usually those two words are totally different. And but given this opportunity, I think you guys can see how my research is actually very closely collected to the real world. And as you guys can see from the the page I shared, this is a research that trying to collect the inferred reviewer personality with a review helpfulness. And this work is collaborate with Yiling Li of my previous PhD students at Tsinghua University and one of my colleague Xiang Xu from Tsinghua University. And this paper actually has been accepted by the top journal in the management information system, MIS quarterly. And so this is basically a basic background of this paper. And this is today's agenda. So first, I'm going to talk about the motivation of this paper, why, what inspired me to do this paper. And, for the academic paper, you're probably going to, learn a little bit, you have to listen to me to talk about a little bit about the literature review, because this is, we have to build our research on what other people have done. We have to bring something new, right? And then, I'm going to talk about, the whole research design and how I implement the research, including the data variable and my empirical model. And then, the most important, the prediction, how the model actually predict, perform in the real world. And then I'm going to, end the session with summary and discussion. So I know I probably face a very different audience, from my previous audience, those kind of academic professors. So I will try to simplify those kind of technical details and try to talk more about the, those kind of motivation, industry application, and, managerial implications. So first, let's talk about the motivation. What motivates us to do this research? There's a couple of things. First thing is, the information explosion on the product review platform. So nowadays we all know that actually consumers relies heavily on the this kind of word of mouth, word of mouth, generally online to make their purchase decisions. And couple of years ago, like 10 years ago, one problem for this kind of product review platform would be the lack of information. But you won't get a lot of this kind of information online regarding the product. So, but nowadays, the information is not a problem. The problem is this kind of too much information online. So if you go to Google and trying to search business, especially those popular ones, you'll get thousands of reviews at one time. So the information scarcity or data scarcity is no longer a problem. The problem is how to find the really helpful reviews among a vast body of information. So this is actually a challenging facing this kind of product reviewer platform in order to help them, help the readers of those kind of platform. They have to, easy this kind of information overburden on their readers. And one way for them to do so is to by identify those kind of reviewers who can really provide some kind of useful reviews instead of someone just go online and say, hey, I purchased this thing and it's good, then that's it. So probably that kind of review does not provide much information to the reader. And if you look at the those kind of product review platform, actually a lot of the platform taking all kinds of actions trying to solve this problem. So for example, if you go to Yelp, actually they have this kind of elite standards, right? So they award certain of their review writers some kind of elite standards. So their review is probably going to place in front of other reviews and get more weight when they calculate this kind of scores. But the problem with this kind of elite status is one thing, they put more emphasis on the quantity other than quality. So if you write more, you probably can get this kind of elite status earlier. But on the other hand, if you want, they also consider the help for votes that the reviewers get from their reviews wrote. But the problem is, usually once after you write, the reviewers write the reviews, usually it's going to take weeks or months for those kind of helpful votes to show up. So the platform can determine whether this kind of this writer is a writer that with potential to produce helpful reviews. But the statistics actually show that most of the review writers only write 1 or 2 reviews on the review product platform. Then after that, they stop writing. So if you don't identify those kind of helpful reviewers, earlier and try to attract them to write reviews early on, you are probably going to lose them. So we actually propose to inform those kind of review platform by looking at the text they provide on the review platform to inform their to infer their personality and use those kind of personality characteristics of the review to infer whether they are going to provide the helpful reviews in the future. This is actually a very good perspective, because in the online platform, most of us are we are under some kind of zero acquaintance situation. So we don't know who's writing whatever things or whatever things. We only see the text and we don't see the person. Especially we lack this kind of other cues when you have conversation with somebody in the offline settings. You can look at their body language, you can look at their facial expression, then you can get some kind of information besides their language or their information contained in their conversation. But in the online platform, basically we know nothing, most likely nothing about this reviewer. Our approach actually capture a silent factor in the research context online platform that is, has been largely ignored in the existing literature. Another set of motivation is because, right now we see in the recent years, there's an explosion of both machine learning and also, artificial intelligence in the academic world as well as in the industry. But the difference, one of the challenges that machine learning faces is that the black box nature of its approach. Basically, for the machine learning, you just throw a bunch of things into the model, and then the machine going through its algorithm, then it tells you whether this one is useful or not useful. But what about the mechanism? Why is this, why you threw those kind of information in, then, the machine predicted either useful or not useful? Nobody can answer this, what is inside the black box. But our approach actually, bridge this kind of machine learning approach with the traditional economics and management studies. And by using them together, we can probably achieve some kind of synergy. And so the goal of our study is to use this kind of convolutional neural network based natural language processing to infer a review writer's personality based on their writings. And then we just use all kinds of theories to predict how those kind of personality link to the review helpfulness, and to trying to build up this kind of theoretical basis for the prediction. And then later we actually feed the personality we produced from the previous machine learning approach into a prediction model, and trying to predict a reviewer's future reviews helpfulness based on the first review they write. So before I go through the detail of my research, I just want to give more background information on what I'm presenting here. So for the personality traits, if you are familiar with the psychology research, or if you are somehow familiar with the personality theory, there are many kinds of personality theories. Yeah, and here we are going to just use the one of the most popular ones, that is called Big Five personality traits. And this Big Five personality traits basically describe people's personality onto 5 dimensions, and it can be use five actually letters to simplify it. That is ocean, OCEAN. So the ocean, actually, the first one, O stands for the openness. That is, people's tendency to experience the depths, breadth, originality, and the complexity of an individual's mental and experiential life. So the openness, this kind of dimension, actually describe a person's tendency to be more perceptive and analytical. On the other hand, for the C's in the ocean, that is the conscientiousness. Conscientiousness basically describe people's task or goal-directed behavior. If a person can control their impulse and just do things towards some kind of goals, then we see this person is high in their conscientiousness level. On the other hand, the extraversion probably is one of the most often used personality traits in the real world. People is more energetic and enthusiastic and more social, so that we see that type of person is more extravert, or high in the extraversion dimensions. On the other hand, we have ocean A. The A actually refers to the agreeableness. That is a person's pro-social and communal orientation towards others. And the N actually is a neuroticism. It's a offset of the emotional stability, which features those kind of feelings of anxiety, nervousness, and depression. On the other hand, people who's high in this kind of emotional stability, they are able to control their emotions. So those are the 5 facets of the personality traits we're going to use in our research. And again, like I said, the academic research has to build on the basis of whatever has been done in the future, in the previous literature. So that's why I have to go over the previous literature with you and to provide what is a unique feature we add to the literature. So actually, review helpfulness has catch has captured a lot of attentions from the academic researchers, and there are a bunch of researchers starting from the 2000 early 2000s that they are researching what all the elements drives the helpfulness of the reviews. We can actually divide those kind of elements into two dimensions. One is the review characteristics. For example, the sentimental content in the reviews, the depth of the review, and also the the reading of the accompany with the review. So those type of things. On the other hand, in the recent years, not in the early years, but in the most recent years, people start to look at reviewers characteristics and try to link it to the review helpfulness. So those reviewer characteristics includes how many reviews that the reviewer has provide on the social media platform, and also whether they disclose their personal information on the social media platform. And we see a bunch of this review. All those things has been done by the previous research. But what differentiates our research from the rest of the previous research is that we, just like I said, using our research, we can identify a person's personality from as long as they produce their first reviews online. Then we can infer their personality, and then based on this personality, we can predict whether they are going to produce helpful review in the future. If you just focus on the review characteristics, then you have to wait until a review was written. So you will know their star ratings, their readabilities, their sentimental, and also there's all other kinds of linguistic features of that review. Then you can predict the current the helpfulness of the current reviews. On the other hand, if you are trying to use this kind of numbers of reviews wrote by a reviewer, or how many votes that a reviewer has got from his or her previous reviews, then the problem is you have to wait for like 10 days or 20 days until you gather this kind of information on the helpfulness of his or her previous review. But our review basically, as long as they write in their first reviews, we can infer their personality and use that personality towards towards the prediction of their future review helpfulness. So this is our research design. So we actually first train a deep learning model for the personality, and based on the reviews that a reviewer written, we infer their personality on those 5 dimensions we just talked about. And then we theorizing and testing, how those 5 review, those kind of personality scores impact those helpfulness of the, review gatherers. And then later we train a predictive model based on this kind of machine learning algorithm. Actually, we use an ensemble models, which combines random forest supporting vector machine and AdaBoost together to predict the reviewer's future, helpfulness of their future review. And then later we use our test sample, which is 1/3 of our whole sample, to say the recall and precision of our predictive model. The data, we actually use a Yelp academic data set that is provided, 250 business for the 30 university across 15 states in the United States. I know actually in recent years, Yelp actually provide more detailed, or more, detailed reviews with, all the pictures and all the kind of features for the reviews. But, remember this study actually starts in 2013. So around that time, this is the most advanced the data set we can get. And we actually focus on the restaurant category because it is the main and most, often used business type on Yelp. And also, if we actually remove reviews with fewer than 50 words because, for the review that has less than 50 words, our personality prediction probably is not so accurate. So we want something, more accurate. That's why we remove the reviews with fewer than 50 words. And then our final sample actually consists of 160 more or less, reviews written by 74,000 reviewers for over 4,000 restaurants. And our variables, first we have to infer a person's personality. So that's why we use this kind of convolutional neural network based, NLP to infer the personality, a person review writer's personality. Actually, this is our CM model consists of 7 layers, which we are going to do. I'm going to show you the map in the next slides. But basically, this is 7 layers of model that go through what word vectorization, then goes to sentence vectorization, then goes to documents vectorization. Then finally we go to the classification whether this this review is useful or not. And we use several kind of stochastic gradient descendants with delta upgrade rules to minimize the negative log likelihood. And we actually use one of the most often used training set in the personality data set, James Pennebaker and Laura King's stream of consciousness as a data set to train our model. So this is the data actually, the machine learning model we use to infer the person's personality. It is a 7 layer of models. And I will be very glad to go over in detail, but given we only have 45 minutes, I probably I have to leave those to the to the future. And then the date variables, of course, our dependent variable is a total number of helpful votes for the reviews, unlike Amazon or IMDb, which allows a user to vote both useful and non-useful for reviews. Yelp does just give you, one option to vote if this review is useful. So we actually have total numbers of helpful votes for the reviews, but we take the log transformation to, to make this data looks more normal. And for our review, then our, the variables of our central focus, that is the reviewer characteristics on the 5 personality traits: openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeability, and emotional stability, that are all use our machine learning model in the previous step. And then we control for the review rank for the reviewer. And then if whether this reviewer is from local or is from other locations. And then we have control a bunch of review characteristics along with certain kind of restaurant characteristics to exclude their possible impact from those kind of other variables. And we actually, this is one step, one necessary step for the academic research. We have to have some kind of hypothesis. So basically, we are bridging the personality with review helpfulness based on previous psychological literature. We are saying that actually the personality positively associated with certain kind of people's tendencies, such as knowledge sharing, reviewer persuasiveness, and opinion leadership. If those kind of reviewer personality are positively associated with those 3 dimensions of person's propensity, then those reviewers' personality traits is going to contribute positively to the review helpfulness. And there's only one thing I want to call your attention to, because on the H5 we're saying actually review helpfulness is negatively related to the emotional stability. So if a people is more emotional, it tends to gather more review helpful votes. That is because there are two opposite hypotheses on this dimension. On one side, if a person is more emotional stable, probably it shows stronger propensity to sharing knowledge. But on the other hand, we in the online settings, we previous research actually find when people show emotions, they tend to gather more votes for their reviews. So that's why we have different kind of hypotheses. And for our empirical model, it's pure simple regression. The only thing is we take care of the endogeneity in the personality traits. Remember, our personality trait is inferred from the review text, right? And the helpful votes is also based on the review text. So there might be some kind of unobserved racial characteristics that impact both the reviewers' personality calculated from the reviews and the helpfulness that a review gather. For example, if you go write a review for a McDonald's, probably you're going to be less passionate, and also people will definitely vote less on the helpfulness of a review in McDonald's than exotic Italian restaurant, right? So those kind of unobservable characteristics that impact both the review helpfulness and the reviewers personality traits, they're going to introduce some kind of endogeneity in our model. So what do? We actually use a traditional way to deal with endogeneity here. We use the instrument variable, and we use all the reviewers from the same region as a focal reviewer, and all their personality calculate from the reviews written for other restaurant than the focal restaurant as a as the instrument variable. So because the research shows actually people from the same region, they tend to share some kind of same personality traits. For example, New Yorker probably tends to share certain kind of personality characteristics if you compare them with people from California, right? And but on the other hand, if you use reviews for those reviewers written for other restaurants, so it's less likely to correlate with the unobservable restaurant factors that is going to impact the helpful votes that this review gets for the specific restaurant. And also we use some kind of linguistic style factors as another set of instrument variable, because it tends to correlate with reviewers' personality, but less likely to correlate with the restaurant. So this is a model. We actually run a couple of models, and for the simplicity, I actually cut the results table and just show the the most important information here. We have a base model. Then based on the base model, we further control for the heteroscedasticity and the interdependency of the residual by using GMM. Then we further use GMM plus the cluster standard error to control for possible correlation in the error term among the the reviews. So, but if you look at the results, it's quite consistent. Openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness, they're all positive, correlate with a review helpfulness. And on the other hand, the emotional stability, as we predicted, is negatively correlated with the helpfulness. So this is the part we just link the machine learning with a theory and with a traditional econometrics model and management study as well. Then we use some ensemble models to do the prediction. Basically, we actually compare two sets of models. One set is what we call base model, because we are trying to predict a reviewer's future review helpfulness. So we can only use reviewers, certain kind of characteristics in our setting. We can only infer, how many review sets the reviewer has written, and the reviewers, whether they are from local or not. And on the other hand, the other side of the model, we actually add the 5 personality traits into the base model, and then we actually train, 3 set of different kind of models: SVM, decision tree, and naive Bayes. And then we're using symbol models to, then we have ensemble as SVM, decision tree, and then we have the ensemble SVM, random forest, and ADA boost. Then we actually use another, majority voting scheme and trying to combine all the 3, ensemble models into one big model, just like this one, this graph shows. So later we are going to vote on the, whether this person is open or not open, whether this person is extraversion or not, by this kind of majority voting. And we are comparing those 2 set of models. One is base model, and the other one is a the model plus our personality. And here we actually show our prediction performance. One set, we show that we compare those 2 set of models on 2 things. One is a recall, how many truly, useful reviews being identified using our model. And then if you take a look at the model, actually our personality model performs quite consistently around, across different thresholds. We use different thresholds basically to identify which review is helpful and which review is not helpful, based on the votes, how many votes that helpful votes it's get from the readers. So no matter what kind of threshold we use, we actually see that our personality model always constantly outperform the benchmark model. But on the other hand, if you want to increase recall, the easiest way is to identify more things into the helpful. Like if you say, hey, every future review is going to be helpful, then the recall is going to be 100%, right? But this one, probably is not so helpful for the manager, because it's based on the sacrifice of precision. So that's why we have to compare the precision of our model. And if you look at the our personality model versus the benchmark model on the precision, you see our model, the improvement in the recall rate does not, based on the sacrifice of our precision. So this graph actually shows, the comparison of, the recall and the precision of our personality model versus the base model. And we see the blue line, that is our personality model, are always above the, the red lines, that is a benchmark model. That shows that actually our model constantly outperform the industry average. I know that probably nowadays industry have more fancy things to do, but just to compare the industry practice around that time. And so the implications for the research, I'm going to skip this one because most of the audience probably are not in the academic world. So basically, we are just saying, hey, we have find some ways to broaden the scope of previous research and find some kind of new avenues for the future research. But I want to talk about the implications for the practice. So our research actually shows that if you can, utilize the public available information online, the most widely available information, the text, reviews provided by the reviewers, you can actually, identify their personality, and further, those things can help the review platform, and also, to identify this kind of reviewer that is going to bring more helpful reviews and help you to, improve the your your website quality. So that is probably going to convert some kind of very important message for the industry. So I know right now there are a lot of personalized advertising, a lot of companies trying to do those type of things. But our research basically shows a possible way to bring the academic research and those kind of existing, non-existing psychological theory into industry practice. So this is one way to bring academic research into the industry practice. This provide both the theoretical foundation and also prove to be very useful. And also, for the reviewers, if you are just writing for, you want to improve your, user experience, and you want to increase your credential on the review website, probably this also can give you some hints. What kind of conveyed personality you want to express on the review website actually, determine how your readers going to evaluate you. So there's only, that's pretty much my presentation, and I'm happy I finished it on time, and we have 8 minutes for Q&A. Thank you very much for bearing with me. And if you have any question, just just ask, and I'm here. I'm more than happy to answer any kind of question.
Thank you so much, Angela, for that session. I do have a few questions. I don't see any questions coming up on the chat, so I do have 2 questions. So I want to ask if the model is still learning based on the data today.
Oh no, this one is just for my research. So once we are not have we don't have any collaboration with Yelp or with IMDb. So right now we are just publish this paper, and then we move on to the next project. This is why one of the reasons why I want to present the work here. If you guys find this research helpful, you probably can apply it to your if the audience, some of the audience find it useful, probably can apply it to your own practice, and we're happy to help you with that. Yep.
And I do have one more question. So like you mentioned that do you find like if this model was running right now, and with the pandemic or with any kind of emotional events like Black Lives Matter, do you think the review trends would change based on that, which would probably change the model?
You mean the review will change, or the review site will?
The reviewer personality.
Well, I think this is a very interesting question. Actually, personality, according to the psychological research, a person's personality is quite consistent. But we cannot, this is basically we just refer a person's, personality from the text they're writing. So if they, people find actually being extra and being high on extraversion is going to bring them more votes, well, the change in their writing style. I think most of the review writers, they're just for the consumer, they probably won't do that because personality is pretty much stable. But for those professional Wang Hong or internet celebrity, does that change their personality? Probably they will consider this kind of research results and trying to make their perceived personality more appealing to their audience. That I would expect them to change their behavior.
Thank you, Angela. We do have a question in the chat. So Ivan asks, could you expand on neural architecture of the model? why didn't you use BERT for creating the personality scores? And which method was used to aggregate the result of the ensemble methods?
Okay, so you mean this one, the personality model, this one, right? Is this one you are asking, or the ensembles?
Yep, this is the one that he's asking.
Okay, so this one actually, I don't claim the originality of this model. Actually, we adopt from the, as you can see from the website, we actually adopt from this paper, 2013 paper. They actually, developed this model. We just adopt it and, make a certain, adjustment to our data. But, we don't claim any originality of our model. And also, I just want to mention, actually, this model partly is out of date right now because, we actually started this paper in 2013. We previously built another model that is very simple. But then, for the academic research, it usually goes through many rounds of revision and go through multiple years. For example, for this paper, I have revised this 5 rounds, and it takes me 6 years to get this paper accepted. So, like I said, the data is not up to the it's not up to the to the date because long history, we cannot change the data every time we got the revision. In this paper, actually, the data, this model, 2013 model is not the most advanced model. Actually, if you look at the IBM, they have this personality model. Watson actually has right now they have the personality prediction model pretty much mature, and they don't disclose their details on their their algorithm. But I won't claim the originality of this model. Just but our model does have some kind of uniqueness. We are trying to bridge this model to the business world and to put it in a more applied setting. Okay. Any other questions? No? If not, then thank you guys very much for attending this my session, and you can find my contact information on the conference website. And if you have any comments, you are more than welcome to contact me. And thank you very much, and I appreciate your time with me this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angela, for this session.
Thank you. Bye.
For attending.